Fear is a powerful magnet, and here's how to use it to transform rather than stay stuck. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am your muse Tracy. I am here to inspire you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, to create on purpose exactly what you want in all areas of your life, to stop settling and to stop suffering. You are not here to do either of those things. If that sounds good to you, you are definitely more than welcome to join me on this channel and get to know me and get to know my work, and come and work with me if you're ready to get unstuck and, really dive into being the powerful creator that you're meant to be, that we all truly are, that is our true nature. We just have layers covering up that true nature. And that's what my work is all about, is helping you get rid of those layers, shed those layers so that you can, it sounds so cliche, but live the life of your dreams. That's really what you're meant to do. That's why you have those dreams in the first place. So let's get into it. Your fear is a powerful magnet. And why is that? And not just because it's fear, but there's a reason why. It's because it is a thought coupled with a strong emotion. And that's a very powerful magnet. So let's first talk about where fear comes from. When you start diving into manifesting and learning to be a conscious creator, learning that you are the creator of your reality, and learning that you have these desires for a reason because you're meant to live and experience them, and you get to decide what you want to experience based on your desires, your preferences, and not just you're not just destined to experience the societal norms, what everyone around you is doing and what society tells you that you ought to be doing and you are meant to be doing. No, you start to learn that you are a powerful creator, and you get to actually live and create your specific preferences. You get to honor and identify and create according to your specific preferences, not just the conditioning and what, society and people around you tell you that you ought to be doing, AKA what you've been programmed to do, believe, think, the path that you've been programmed to think that you have to follow. All of that is the programming, and it comes from our environment, whether that's, your community, your society, or your family. It's probably all three, really. So when you start diving into this and identifying those desires, even allowing yourself to identify and admit your desires, it's a big step for most of us in the beginning. This is when the resistance, or also known as the fear that you hold within you that blocks these desires, will start to show up. Interesting timing, isn't it? And it can show up either, just in your thoughts, just as sort of like contradictory thoughts, AKA fears about our desires that we're learning to admit to ourselves. Or it can start to show up in your 3D external reality as, seeming blocks, seeming roadblocks, or as I like to refer to it, brick walls, seem to show up in your reality. It always starts with a thought, but if you're not aware of the thought, you may experience it first as showing up in your 3D reality. But as we know, it always starts with a thought, conscious or unconscious. So all of your fears blocking your desires start to show up. Why is this? Why is this when we're just learning to admit what we truly want? And now we have to face all these fears and deal with all these fears. Well, there's a reason, and it's a good reason. It's because you don't get to have, your desires just show up. I mean, that's not true. That's not the point. Let me get more specific. You do get to have your desires show up. Your desires would already be showing up. They would already be present in your reality if you didn't hold a block within you, right? So it's not really what I meant, that you don't just get to have your desires show up. You do, actually. And they would already be there if you didn't have a block. You weren't holding a block, which is, an idea, a concept, a limiting belief, a fear inside of you. If you didn't have that, your desires would already be there. Because, even before you learn to consciously recognize and admit your desires, they're already there. They're already there. I was saying this to one of my groups the other day. You're the last to know. Your higher self, the universe, God, the all of everything that is already knows your desires. It's like you're the last to know because you kind of start to get out of your own way. So your fears start to come up, and it can sound like, things as broad as, yeah, right, that's a long shot, or that's a pipe dream, so why bother? It can seem very general, these contradictory fears and limiting beliefs that we hold. So, things like, well, no one has that, and so why do I think I get to have that? And that can be, both in your family and your immediate surroundings, or even in society. So none of that is actually true. Those contradictory thoughts, it's your fears. Those are your fears coming out, and it's what your fear wants you to think. Right? But your fear is showing up to show you that you are holding a block within you, and that's the only thing holding your desires away. So they're showing up so that you can see them, and more importantly, so that you can consciously choose something different. Okay? So this is really the first step in using your fears for your benefit, rather than being controlled by them and sort of being trapped by them. And the first step is recognizing fear is never real. Fear is never real. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And I want to point something out here. Fear is not disbelief in something. No, fear is actually complete and total belief or faith in something that you don't want. That's what fear is. So recognizing when your fear shows up, shows itself to you, and this is a skill that you can learn to develop. It's going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but the skill that you want to develop is, recognizing your fear and just immediately understanding that fear isn't real. And in that moment, especially when you first start doing this, it may feel real. It may really feel real. And so again, that's why I say this is a practice. And in the beginning, just recognizing that it's a fear is a start to this process, because then you train yourself to know, oh, well, that's a fear. Well, fear isn't real. Fear is just a belief in unwanted things. And at the same time, I can put that same belief in the wanted version, in the wanted desire that I have, right? Because fear and faith are both putting your belief in something that you can't see. So you might as well choose the one that you want rather than choosing the one that you don't want. So this is where it gets to be a little bit tricky, because we've been conditioned to think that our fears keep us safe and that our fears are normal and legitimate. And really it all comes back to, this concept of better to be safe than sorry, right? But it's not actually keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. Your fears don't keep you safe. That's an illusion, a complete lie. Your fears keep you small and keep you stuck and in the same paradigm as everyone else. Which, is what society wants, really. Society wants the norms to continue to be conformed to. So everything around you, and that's why it's helpful to have coaching, it's helpful to have assistance on this journey, because you are literally trying to, take what you've always been trained to do, which is believe your fears, better safe than sorry, stay safe, stay small, stay, in the herd. And, just follow what most of other people are doing because that's the safest path. It's not. But, that's what society wants you to stay in. And so, you've always been taught that. Not only have you been taught that, and probably up until this point when you come across this type of information, you've operated from that. And not only that, but everyone else around you is also operating in that. And, it's according to society, it's the right thing to do. So this is where it can be helpful to have some guidance, some assistance, because I promise you, not everyone is doing that, but most people are doing that. And most people, if you try to tell them things like, well, I'm facing my fears, I'm just deciding to not believe in my fears, fear is never real. You tell them all the things that I'm telling you guys, you're watching this video for a reason. They're going to try to talk you out of it. They're going to try to convince you to stay small and just, it is better to be safe than sorry. So, your fears have to come up. And I've talked about this in all the other videos that I've done about, the brick wall and the opposites showing up. Fear is a type of opposite. It's not really an opposite, but it kind of is. I mean, when you start to identify your desire, the old concept that you've believed in has to show itself to you, because as I've mentioned in other videos, this is you having the safety switch for your reality. Your reality, just because you have a new desire, isn't going to say, okay, ploop, there's your desire now. No, you have to look and see what blocks you hold to that desire. And, the universe is set up to conspire in your favor. And so when you do identify your desires, those blocks will be shown to you, again, either in the form of your thoughts, negative thinking, limiting beliefs, these thoughts that just go on inside of you that say, don't go there. It's not going to work out. Why would it work? All the things. It's unique and individual, but some of it is just societal conditioning, as I've already mentioned. So it'll show up that way, or it'll show up in your 3D reality, or maybe both, But again, this isn't negative. This is part of the process. You're not doing anything wrong. This is part of the process. When you identify your new desires, your new reality, your new, timeline, your new path that you want to go on, things have to show up to show you what you have been holding previously inside. You are the one that holds the fears. So you are also the one that can let them go. No one is holding your fear to you other than you, right? But you also can only be the only one to let it go. You can be the only one that sets the fear down and says, I don't believe that anymore. That's not real. That's me putting my faith, my belief in the unwanted, whereas just as easily I could put my faith in the wanted. Again, with some unconditioning. There's some unconditioning that has to happen here. But I think the main thing that I want to get across to you guys is fear is so normal. There's not something wrong with you. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're not doing anything wrong. This is a normal part of the process, just like opposites. It's actually, and I know this is difficult to hear when you're learning how to do this, it's difficult to hear me say, it's a good thing that all your fears come up, but I promise you it is. The brick wall, the opposites, the fear showing itself to you, these truly are the doorways to walk through to a different timeline. It's giving you the opportunity to choose different, right? Because let's just explore for a moment if this wasn't what happens. You have a new desire and, it shows up within you and you learn to acknowledge it and you learn to admit it and you learn to embrace it and you understand you're a powerful creator and you have your desires for a reason and it's because you're meant to experience them. And you start to focus on that desire, but you're completely unaware of any resistance that you hold within yourself. And this is the concept that a lot of people have of their subconscious mind. They think that they have a desire and something exists in their subconscious mind that is blocking them and they're totally unaware of it. Well, that would be a difficult situation because you cannot change what you're not aware of. So that would be difficult and that would be a block for sure. But luckily for you and for me and for all of us humans, That's not how it works. We have a desire, we give birth to this new desire, we admit our desire, we start to embrace it and believe in it. And if there is something in our subconscious mind, in our programming, in our conditioning, in our blueprint, in our, software, however you want to say it, there's a million ways to say it, but it's the programming that is running the show. If there's something in there that is countering your new desire, it will show itself to you. And it does that. One of the ways it does that is fear. Okay? So that's why I'm saying this fear showing up is a good thing, because you're having the opportunity to see it. We just have to understand fear. We have to stop believing fear, and we have to understand what to do with it, which is recognize, like I've already said in this video, but I'll recap it here. Recognize that fear is, first of all, it's coming up so that you can choose something different, but it's complete belief in unwanted. And that has to be shifted. That has to be neutralized. That has to be, you have to take your attention away from that and put your attention on the wanted, right? And listen, guys, there's two parts to this. Like, part of me wants to say it's not that complicated, right? And, you're not going to believe it at first because, again, we tend to believe fear very easily. We've been conditioned to better to be safe than sorry. So we tend to believe fear really easily. And then when we try to be more positive and believe in, our desires, we tend to struggle. So this is where people can sort of start to make it harder than it needs to be, because they get all worked up about, well, I changed the fear once, but then it came back. Okay, well, just do it again. Just every time the fear wants to say, you can't have that, you can't do that, nobody else is doing it, nobody in your family has done it, who do you think you are? Every time that fear comes up, you recognize it. That's a fear that I have held, that I, was trained to believe somewhere, whatever. You don't even have to go into so much detail. You just need to say, that's a fear that I hold, showing itself to me so I can choose again. And here's what I choose again. And so when it comes up again, you haven't failed. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just showing you this is still here a little bit. Okay, so you just go, oh, I choose this one over here. I choose to believe in my desire. Doesn't mean that you fully believe it and this will never show itself to you again. I think this is where people complicate it, right? So when the fear comes up again, you're not doing anything wrong. You haven't failed. And what you're doing isn't not working. It's just that repetition is key here. And how long will this old fear keep coming up? Until, you really have no more reaction to it coming up. Right? Because when we react, every time it comes up, it's showing us, again, it's still alive. But every time it comes up and you can go, hi there, I see you, and I'm choosing this, and really have no emotional, reaction to the fear being there, then it's going to stop. I promise you, it's going to stop coming up, and easily, effortlessly, you're going to start to align and focus on and live in the end of your desires. So, fear is a powerful magnet. We learn how to use it to break through the limitations that we hold within us. And I want to let you guys know I do have my group coaching coming up starting July 10th. And it's all about living in the end. And yeah, there's more information on my website. I'm not going to go into it now, but just want to let you guys know that is coming up. It's the last time for 2025. This course will be open. And so come and join me in there. It's an amazing transformative 8 weeks. My clients get so much out of these courses, and it's time for you to do the same. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.